I'm Whitney, this is Jacob Minor. We've been married for 14 years, and then we have an 8-year-old daughter, Liliana, and a 3-year-old son, Harrison. And we're from Marshville, Missouri. So from birth, it was a normal, typical seeming birth, but then within the first few months, we noticed that he was having delays, not meeting milestones. And so around the 6-month mark is when we really had a big push to see specialists and get involved in therapy. Just before his first birthday was when he was diagnosed with epilepsy. And so since then, it's just been a bunch of stuff kind of trying to manage his epilepsy and trying to help him meet his milestones. But on his last EEG, he had 10 to 15 an hour. Since then, we started the ketogenic diet, which has seemed to help some, but he's still having hourly seizures.
Until there's a point of his ratio with his keto diet that his doctors seem to think is the right one, and where we just don't see any seizures at all, then it's just a constant tweaking that ratio for his diet and his amount of the different seizure medications he takes and things like that, all while still trying to also help him develop through all of his therapies that he's doing and things like that. So it's a constant ongoing experiment to figure out what's the perfect ratio and the balance of everything he has to take and eat and do until he can finally get to the right level to be hopefully normal functioning.
His First Steps PT had mentioned that she thought Harrison would be a good candidate for intensive therapy. And so we started looking around Springfield, and within our insurance network, there wasn't an intensive therapy option. So then we started looking elsewhere, and Columbia has that. When he is here for intensive therapy, it's 4 weeks of therapy. He goes 5 days a week for 3 to 5 hours a day. He did 1 round of intensive therapy in January, and then he just finished his 2nd round. So we're looking at doing 2 rounds of therapy a year. So that would be 2 rounds of being here for 4 weeks at a time. So he has done weekly therapy before, and he still gets that through school, but it's really beneficial for intensive therapy because he's getting so much more therapy than he would normally get during his weekly therapy. And so it's easier to see a lot more progress quickly when he has so much therapy every day. So we really, really love intensive therapy and hope that we can continue doing that. I know this round he has really progressed with his eating. So at the beginning of therapy this round, he still had us have to feed him his bottle. But at this point, throughout the 4 weeks, he went to holding his own bottle to now he's not even going to be using bottles anymore, and he can now use a straw. So feeding was definitely a big improvement this month. One thing I love about the Ronald McDonald house is that when we finish therapy for the day, we can come back here and the staff and volunteers are all super welcoming, and we built some relationships through there. And then it's also nice when we were at the Drury, you didn't really see anyone else, so you didn't really build too many relationships with volunteers or staff, and also with other families, whereas here it feels safe, and then you can also see other families going through similar situations, so then you can kind of encourage each other and build relationships that way. So I know our family's unique in that we are getting outpatient services, but there's a lot of families here that we have met that their kids are stuck inpatient, and those families are just super worried about their kids, but totally trying to stay strong. And I think just having a spot that they can be at where they're not having to worry about how they're going to afford meals and how they're going to afford lodging potentially, when all they're really caring about is having their kids survive. Whereas for us, it's a little bit different.
I think for me, the fact, like, I had to stay home, take care of our house and our dogs, and I had to go to work and everything. Got to pay bills, you know. Knowing that they're up here at the Ronald McDonald house and that it's a safe place for them to be. I don't necessarily have to worry that something's gonna happen to them. That this is a place I know that they'll be okay, and I'm 2 hours away. It's not like I can do anything super fast, kind of thing. So it's nice to know that this is a safe, caring place. There's people here to always help them if they need something, and that where Harrison goes to therapy, it's not very far from here, and so it's a quick drive there, do his therapies, come back, and I know that they can come back and they have food and stuff supplied for them so that they're taken care of most of the time, where I don't have to worry about them.
Harrison has had some inpatient stays before, and for those, like Liliana is having to stay with other family members. So I think it's been nice for us to be together for the 4 weeks. It would have been even better you could have taken off, but I know, like, you need to work. So just being able to have us all together instead of her kind of being pushed away for 4 weeks. And then it's also like nice being here because there are the family rooms and we have the room upstairs, and so they can play together during that time.
It's a really nice place, like kind of like the playrooms and stuff, because like that's where kids can hang out with other kids and make friendship. I like how the Ronald McDonald house, you can bring your like family and friends to come along and like meet new people and friends. And maybe next time you're here, they will be along with you and always be like friendship when you're here at the Ronald McDonald house. Hi, we're going to the elevator. If you can't see me, I'm sorry. There you go. Come on, buddy.
We've been inpatient with Harrison before. And I mean, we were staying with him in the hospital. And when you take into account like how much you're spending to just eat at the hospital, it's crazy on top of like all your medical bills. And so the idea of having this is just like a huge blessing to families.
The benefit of anyone that chooses to donate is, if it wasn't for insurance, we'd have hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills for him, and he's probably a much simpler case than some situations that parents have unfortunately been dealt in life. But the Ronald McDonald House removing one of those expenses, only having to deal with medical expenses, is huge for us. We don't have to worry about any of the other stuff that would come with it, especially with being able to be here.
I think ultimately, if we didn't have the Ronald McDonald House or someplace like that to stay at, we would not have been able to come up here for therapy, because financially, like, we wouldn't be able to pay for a hotel room for 4 weeks twice a year for him to have therapy. So we would have just not had it. I would like people to know that it's not just a place for people to stay. It's truly a place where you can come in and you can feel loved. And you know that like the volunteers and staff really care. And so you don't really have to worry so much about how to have lodging and how to have meals. Like, you can totally be present for your kid and try to help them get the care that they need. This is our last one.